This is not a video that is designed to endlessly praise Old Trek by virtue alone of being Old Trek, nor is it a video that is just bashing on New Trek for the just to bash on New Trek. This video going forward, remember, is a clear demarcation between the two. Like there's Old Trek and there is New Trek. One of them I prefer the other. Take a guess. But I wanted to talk about how, for some reason, Old Trek seems to live on in the realm of video games. And if you're very old, this might not be super relatable to you. But for some reason, video game developers / publishers have been allowed to incorporate as much Old Trek as they wanted into the video games that they are producing. I wanted to make this video specifically because Voyager Across the Unknown is coming out very soon. I think within a week. It is a Star Trek Voyager game. Specifically, it is a Voyager game. It looks just like Voyager. The Intrepid class looks just like the Intrepid class. And I think at a deeper level, graphically, it looks like Old Trek. And I'm going to tell you why for a minute. The video games here on display with Voyager Across the Unknown and previously Star Trek Resurgence, they don't have a lot of post-production visual effect nonsense going on. I called it nonsense, but the frame is not blurry. Okay, you can see what is happening. The interior of the ships are bright, simple, clean, easy to understand visually. The visual language is high contrast. It is not blurry. Nowadays at New Trek, purely in the visual department, and a lot of these shows are very beautiful, don't get me wrong, but they're more beautiful when they get out of their own way. The final production, the final frame that they produce is so blurry that I can't really zoom in and make out what ship is what sometimes. Something I always really love doing. But you can do that in these modern, the new Old Trek games. Star Trek Resurgence, I believe it's the only 8 out of 10 I've ever handed out on this channel. I couldn't believe how good it was. Although really it was essentially a visual novel where you could make some different things happen, but the experience was so authentically Old Trek, and it was so fun, it was so engaging for me, and it was thought-provoking in its own way that I had no choice but to hand out an 8. To me, it looked amazing. But I mean, graphically, to the average person, to the layman, they would say this game looks very, very old. I thought it looked amazing because it was Old Trek. It was unapologetically Old Trek. I'll put it that way. And now with Voyager Across the Unknown, I have the demo downloading right now. The demo may have even just finished downloading right now when I go back in and check. I may or may not make a video about it. I don't know. I'm kind of swamped with this and my reviews for Starfleet Academy. But if I had nothing else to do, I'd definitely be playing it, on the channel. And the first demo that came out for Voyager Across the Unknown, people seem to have some problems with it. They didn't really like it. But from what I've heard, they've gotten the rights to the music and they've gotten the rights to some voices. So that should amp up the experience. With anything related to Star Trek in video game form, getting the right music, getting the right voices and the right sounds is very important to draw you in to the universe. And I don't know what it is exactly, but with video games, be it Star Trek Online or the last two games I just mentioned, it seems like the audience they're trying to grab a hold of is older people, even though they are video games. And the television shows / streaming shows that are on now, against all odds, are aimed at the younger generation. I'll leave it up to you to ponder why that is, but I've had a lot of experience with Star Trek Online, Star Trek Resurgence, and I'm about to with Voyager Across the Unknown, so we're going to see how that plays out. But why is it that we are allowed to get our Old Trek on in the video game landscape? I don't know. How do these games sell? I don't know. How do the streaming shows that are on right now in the new Trek genre, how do they perform? Also, I don't know. I don't know how to tell these things. With video games, it's a little bit more clear cut, but with streaming television, it's often very difficult. You're kind of, like I say often, reading the tea leaves. But if you want to see uh, Centaur class. You want to see the Intrepid class. You want to see, what was it? I think they got the Norway. I think you see one of them going around. You want to see the old shuttles. Play the new video games. They're all on full display, and they're not. If these ships had to show up in a Star Trek show before Picard season 3, they'd be pretty different. I don't know why, but they'd be pretty different. But you've seen as soon as Picard began, we had the Strange New Worlds version of the Constitution class on display, and then when we got to Picard season 3, we got the Constitution class as it's supposed to look in TOS. Very strange how that works. So outside of that one brief moment where we could like walk back into old Trek to the point where we're looking at TOS stuff. Apart from Picard season 3, the very old Trek in its totally authentic form, visual design wise, out of Picard season 3, outside of that, it hasn't really existed. But it does exist in the video games. Although I haven't played Star Trek Online in a while. Star Trek Online is more of a smorgasbord. It really just has it all. It has TOS, 2009 stuff, I'm sure. It's Kelvin. It's got New Trek. It runs the whole thing. So it is interesting that there is one element of this entire franchise that genuinely does include everything. But this video is for the old Trek, which is evidently apparent in Voyager Across the Unknown, which I will be playing on my onesies, unless this video does really well and wants to see me play it. Who knows? But yeah. Why do you think it is that Star Trek in its old form continues in video game form almost exclusively? And is there going to be more? I am excited for if there's going to be a Star Trek Resurgence too, or that developer makes its own original game that is an original Star Trek game that's not connected to the original Star Trek Resurgence. That would be very cool. They should make a TOS one. That'd be really awesome. But I will definitely be, in the end, purchasing anything that looks, number one, authentically old Trek, and number two, good. It's got to be good too. We shouldn't be rewarding things that really, really suck. Like I've been around for a while, and Star Trek, in terms of video games, has gotten a bad rap. Usually when people talk about video games, they talk about what sci-fi franchise video games they want to play. They're talking about the other Star franchise, Star something else, right? And when it comes to the Star Trek video games, you're like, I don't really want to play that. Because I think, my opinion, it's very, very hard to convert Star Trek into a video game. It's much easier to do that if you're running around with a sword, or the big ships are shooting each other endlessly. In that other Star franchise, Star Trek, how do you convert it to a video game, right? How can you have a video game where you can win through diplomacy and make that fun? It's kind of difficult. The game is about exploration, diplomacy, survival. There's zillions of planets to go to. There's zillions of characters to interact with on the ship. How do you really make that feel like Star Trek? I do love Star Trek, the old DOS ones. They were very cool. I played some of them on the channel. I played one of them. Was it Judgment Rights? Is that the one? No, something else. They're episodic. But the old Star Trek DOS games were great. There's that Bridge Commander one that's really good. I know there's that one Voyager one that's like a shooter. Star Trek, was it Elite Force? Something like that. There was actually a Starfleet Academy game a long time ago that I believe had appearances from cast members. Then there was we had Star Trek Online, Star Trek Resurgence, and now Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. So these games I would submit as examples of pretty good Star Trek games. But there's a lot of really bland ones, and there's a lot of ones that don't really capture the spirit. But this video is about capturing the spirit of old Trek, which I think video games have largely been doing, if the television series has not. Should the TV series try to recapture old Trek, or should it instead make a new thing? I think it should be new. That's good, right? That's the operative word here. Good. And let's see if Voyager Across the Unknown is good. I'm Lieutenant Merrick, and I'm going to see you when next I see you. So long.